Hello everyone, welcome to my new video. Today we're going to make some Nutella biscuits. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just show you. Those are Nutella biscuits. So a few years ago they were released in Italy and people went absolutely crazy. Like all supermarkets were always sold out and it was so hard to find them. So I thought it was a fun idea to try to make them at home, even if it was a little bit more challenging than I thought. But I'm super excited to share my recipe with you. So let's get started. The recipe is in the description box below. I start by sifting some powdered sugar and the vanillin. If you don't have vanillin, you can omit it, or also you can substitute it with half a teaspoon of vanilla extract if you want. Then I also add the flour. I'm using flour 00, but you can also use all-purpose flour. Now I add in some butter in little cubes and I mix it in with the rest with my hands until I get this kind of sandy consistency. Now I add in also some hazelnut flour that I made by simply blending some hazelnuts. I use toasted hazelnuts, but if you don't have those, you can also use just regular plain hazelnuts. That will work fine too. I add in the egg and I incorporate it into the mixture. The dough will become a little bit sticky on your hands, but keep mixing and then throw it into the counter and just compact it together, just like this. I give it a rectangular shape so that the dough will cool down evenly while it's in the fridge. If you make it into a ball, it's harder for the dough to cool down evenly. I fold it into some plastic wrap and I put it in the fridge for about 2 hours. Otherwise, it will be more difficult to work with it. Then I take it out of the fridge and I put it in between 2 parchment paper sheets with a sprinkle of flour on each side. I start rolling the dough with a rolling pin, or if you don't have it, you can use a glass bottle. It also works great. And every once in a while, I make sure that it's not sticking too much on the paper. If it is, just add a little bit more flour. And for the last few rolls, I take away the top parchment paper. If you leave it too thick, you will lose the crunchiness of the cookies, so I do suggest to try to go quite thin. At this point, I cut out the cookie shapes. I use 2 cookie cutters, a bigger one and a smaller one. The bigger one I'm using is 5.5 centimeters and the smaller one is 4.5 centimeters. And I also make the heart shape part of it using this. But if you don't have it, you can totally omit this step. It's not required and just leave it kind of more simple. I oil with some flour oil a muffin tray. Mine is of 6 centimeters for each muffin tin. If you have another side of muffin tray, you will get bigger cookies or smaller ones, but that's great too. And you will just want to use some different size of cookie cutter. I place in the muffin tray the bigger cookie shape, just like this. And this is the challenging part because it's kind of hard to get them straight so that the borders are kind of the same size all around. But anyway, it can never be exactly perfect, so I'm happy with this. Then with a fork I make some holes. This will help make them cook very evenly. And now I take some parchment paper, I crumple it so that it's easier to place on top of the cookies, and I put in there some weights. I'm using dry chickpeas because I don't have any actual baking weights, but I like to just save aside these chickpeas that I use only for this purpose. It works for me. I really suggest you don't skip this step because I did try without using the weights and they just get too puffy and they don't work. Now I put them in a preheated oven at 350 Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes. And meanwhile, I make the top cookies. With your finger, wet the center of the cookie with a little bit of water so that the little heart sticks to it well. Then pat it down a little bit, and if you feel like it, with a fork, make those decorations that the original Nutella biscuits have. And voila, they're ready. You could take it to the next level and draw the N letter of Nutella to resemble even more the original ones, but I find it too time consuming and not rewarding enough. Once they're ready, I bake those 2 for the same amount of time. I repeated the same process twice to use up also the remains of the dough. Once they're out of the oven, I let them cool down, and then I add the Nutella or any other hazelnut spread of your choice. You can even make it at home with the recipe that I'll leave in the description below. And here they are. I think they're pretty similar. Here on the left is the original Nutella biscuit, and the right one is my version of it. What do you think? I think I could have made the top ones slightly smaller, but overall, I am happy with the result. So good. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and if you did, leave it a thumbs up because it really helps my channel grow. And also don't forget to subscribe for new weekly videos. Bye guys!